Hi there, Kathy from ALECC. This is part of our Is It Time series, and we're actually going to be addressing heart disease in this series, this video today. Heart disease is in our top 3 of admissions for hospice. Falling under that can be, heart failure unspecified, hypertensive heart disease with chronic kidney disease, hypertensive heart disease with heart failure. So these are some of the diagnoses that you will see when you're dealing with heart disease. But I wanted to talk about this because heart disease is one of those things that, when I first got into hospice, we had a lot of cancer. That was primarily many of our diagnoses that were our admissions. Then we ended up admitting cardiac patients, and then we went to the neuro. But the heart disease patients, I have always enjoyed working with a tremendous amount, and there's a lot of education and stuff that can be done with this. But I wanted to do this video specifically because it's important that you do good documentation when it comes to heart disease and understand what it is that we're looking for when it comes to our patients eligible for admission when it comes to a Medicare hospice patient. So this is a video that can be brought into your IDG, IDTs, for training and education, or possibly shared with case managers, are patients appropriate, and or family members to know is it time. Because we're looking for a couple of different things when we're looking for admitting patients to hospice for heart disease. We're looking to see that there's really no further treatment that they will be receiving, that they've for their surgery treatment, nothing is really worked up to this point in time for their initial certification, recertification. The patient has been strictly optimally treated for heart disease and no longer is going to be receiving any additional types of treatment. So again, treatment is out the window. Either the medical community has made that determination and or the patient and family has made that determination. So that's important to know that. And also we're looking at their classification with a heart disease. So we look at the New York Heart Association, we abbreviate that down to NYHA, and we're always looking for a class 4. That's where the patient is entered at a class 4 level. Generally that's, they may have an ejection fracture of 20% or less. But usually with a class 4, this means patients are, any type of activity, they're really have cardiac symptoms. Usually they can even experience cardiac symptoms like angina at rest, dyspnea, but getting up off the chair, doing anything would make those symptoms even tougher, more difficult for them. So any activity at all can exacerbate those symptoms, make it more challenging. So that's usually what a class 4 is all about that you're looking at. So angina at rest, shortness of breath, just all the things that go with cardiac disease. Then we're looking at the fact that our patients need to have the following 2 requirements as well. We're looking at doing one of the 2 scales. We've got either the Karnofsky scale or the palliative performance scale, and you either can do one or the other, but these are scales that kind of look at where they are with self-care, ambulation, oral intake, cognitive function, all of that, and 0 to 10, 100%, and where do they fall on that? Because each time you're going to be evaluating patients, should you decide you need to do a recertification, you're going to constantly be measuring that, and if there is a decline, because when you get to 0, that's deceased, you're looking to see if there is that decline, And if they are declining in those areas, that's how you're documenting and supporting your terminality. So it is very important that you understand how these scales work and measure them, score them accordingly. We look at cardiac patients must come in being dependent, having two that they're dependent on, whether it's transfers, whether feeding, ambulation, are they continent? Are they continent of bowel and bladder? Bathing, dressing. Usually, at least two of those areas they need assistance on in order to qualify for hospice. So again, we're not talking about getting any more type of treatment whatsoever. They do not qualify for it, or they decide not to have any further treatment. They have symptoms, cardiac symptoms at rest, or with barely any activity. We're looking at how they're functioning, their cognition, activities of daily living, how they oral intake, eating, all of that. And of course, we want to make sure looking at their dependence on activities. We always do want to assess comorbidities as well. Comorbidities is one of those things where you just don't want to make a list of them because they're there. You really want to look at comorbidities as how they can relate to the disease state. And so some of those comorbidities might be like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. You might be looking at maybe some other type of cardiac diseases that they have that could impact this as well. Maybe there's diabetes involved. There may even be dementia. You might have a cardiac patient with some dementia going on. That's what I was saying when we're looking at the Karnofsky or the palliative performance scale. What is our cognition that we're talking about here? Do we have any renal failure? Again, heart disease with chronic kidney disease. Are there renal failure situations going on here? So you want to look, neurologically, a history of stroke. Is there a history of Parkinson's, ALS, MS, anything at all like that? So these are the things that you're documenting and looking at when you're talking about heart disease and patients that are eligible for hospice. So hopefully you have found this helpful, and you can use this when you're working with your heart disease patients. This is a great tool to help educate your staff. So please, if you did enjoy this and you are enjoying our Is It Time series, please give us a like and subscribe. Next, we will be talking about COPD and respiratory diagnoses. Thank you again for the good work that you're doing. Very much appreciate all of it. And please have a blessed day. Bye-bye now.